Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the French Watch Collector. Today we have a beautiful Omega Dynamics that need to be restored. Yeah, I bought this watch on eBay. I got a good price, but yeah, it's not running very well when I put it on a time grapher, so I need to do a full restoration of this watch. So let's carry on this restoration. First we need to remove the bracelet. You will see it's a bit of a strange design because this watch was made to swap bracelets very easily. So you have this is the original metal bracelet, and you had some as well leather bracelet that you can switch. So you see it's like a screw ring at the back, and you attach a bracelet on the case back, which is a very strange design. You cannot see on a video, but the glass is cracked actually, and you can see there is an edge on the glass, and you remove the glass from the front to get access to the watch. So now first things, we need to remove these beautiful hands. It's a very iconic design from the 70s with this blue hand and this kind of oval shape that I really like. So yeah, get the hands out of the way in a safe place with the carbon tweezer tips to make sure that we don't damage the dial. Okay, everything is out of the way now, and let's see how we can remove the. So first, to remove the mechanism, we need to remove the crown. It's the stem is in two pieces. So now I push it back, the part which is still inside the watch, and now to take the mechanism out, we need to rotate the dial and the entire mechanism. So for that I use pegwood to make sure I don't scratch anything. And here it is. Wow, this is a very nice movement. So it's a caliber 613, which is, you can see no rotor, so it means it's a manual movement. And when I look at the serial number, this watch is from 1961, so that's quite an old watch, yeah. Okay, so first we remove the dial. Again, we unscrew the dial screw fit, and we remove it. Put it in a safe place as well to make sure it doesn't get damaged. It's a beautiful dial. It's a two-tone dial with like a dark blue and a kind of champagne ring in the middle. It's very, very nice looking. So you see this watch has a date function, which is a function that complication that I really like, because yeah, it's one of the easier one. First, you see, I screw back the dial fit screw to make sure I don't lose them during cleaning. Okay, so now I put the mechanism on the movement holder, and we can start the disassembly. First, as always, you can see the watch is beating, so we need to remove the power. Oh, you see that slept a bit, like that's not really good. Like when you unwind the watch, you want to do it very slowly, but it's okay. Okay, now you see all the power is out because the balance will stop beating, so it means there is no power in a watch. So we can start the disassembly. So first we remove the ballast assembly as always, because this is the most delicate part of the watch, so we don't want to damage anything. So I hope you will like this video, because I have a new setup on this video. I have now two cameras. So you have this overhead one, that's a bit more close-up shot, sorry. And you will have another camera that will have more a general view from further away, this camera you see. So you will see less my hand. I hope you will enjoy the new setup, yeah. Okay, so now the balance is out of the way. Now we need to remove the pallet fork. So remove the pallet fork hook, which is on the top, holding the pallet fork, which is held in place by two little screws. So let's remove that. The movement looks like it's in good condition. It's not too dirty. You see the watch has a front glass and no case back, so there is not a lot of dirt that I can enter the watch. It's quite a safe watch, so the movement is not that dirty. Even the stem looks quite clean. so nothing came by the crown side, so it looks quite good, yeah. So I think it just needs a good clean to clean the old oil and put some new oil to make sure it runs good again. Okay, oh, you see there's actually just a little piece of dirt that was on top of the center wheel, which is strange. So just remove that. Anyway, you will see the entire movement and the entire part. We go to my new, I will show you my new watch cleaning machine, yeah. Okay, so I remove this little bridge which is holding the second pinion. So you need to be really careful with the second pinion because, yeah, you see it's very long, it's a very delicate part. Here we go, here it is, it's very thin. Okay, and there is a friction spring, and I leave the friction spring in place and I carry on with the train wheel bridge, so to remove the train of wheel. I really like this era from Omega, other watchmaker as well from the 70s. I saw that they are very funky watches. So, and the movement, like, they are simple, not too complicated yet, like some of the movement that you can find now. So they're quite easy to maintain and quite easy to work with. So yeah, I like to buy this type of watch for my collection and restore and maintain them. Yeah? Okay, so now I just need to make sure I remove the bridge very slowly to not damage any pivot. Oh, this is a heavy part. There we go. It's out. And now we have the train of wheel. So that's the third, the fourth wheel, and the escape wheel at the end. We put them aside. Just a quick check to make sure nothing is damaged on each wheel. If the pivot looks good, if the teeth are not missing anything. Anyway, I'll always do a check on the parts after cleaning. After cleaning, I like to look some of the parts under the microscope to make sure everything is okay. Like check the jewels, check the wheels, to make sure the jewels are not cracked, are cleaned properly, the wheels, the pivots are in good shape, the teeth are in good shape. So yeah, I always check after cleaning the parts under the microscope. Yeah, you don't see it in a video, but it's something that I always do for my watch. Okay, I already removed the ratchet, and now I remove the click assembly with the click and a click spring. Always need to be careful with the click spring, it's very small, but this kind of click spring is nicely in place with like the rounded shape. You see, I use a bit of Rodico to make sure it doesn't fly, and yeah, here it is. You see, it's very thin. Okay, crown wheel with two screws, two little screws. So it means that the crown wheel, the screws, if there is two, they are not rivet threaded, so they are like unscrewing in a normal way, let's say. So it's easier, and yeah, even if you have a bad day, like if you forget, like sometimes it's reverse threaded screw, it's safer with two screws, even if they are very small, so easy to lose as well. During cleaning or other operation, you need to be very careful with these small screws. So let's remove, you see the two parts stay stuck together, so it means maybe there is a bit of grease or oil dried in between. So here we go, now they come apart, check the parts, everything looks good. Okay, and you can see this ring, use a bit of Rodico to use this kind of friction rings to make sure everything is sliding properly under. Okay, now I removed everything on the barrel bridge. So we can remove the bridge, which is held by 3 screws. Some of the screw looks tight. Some of the screws on his watch were very tight. I don't know if it's a previous watchmaker which would tighten maybe a bit too much of some dirt or kind of corrosion that go in between the threads. I don't know, but sometimes some of the watch threads are a bit tighter than others, yeah. Okay, with a screwdriver blade I gently remove the bridge, lift it up, use the gaps to lift it up, and here it is. So a big plate, big bridge, and I can take out the mainspring barrel assembly that I will open and maintain and clean as well, as always, to make sure the mainspring inside is clean, or change the mainspring depending on the state of the mainspring, yeah. Okay, so now let's start on the other side, the calendar and the keyless work side. So we did the side which is the timing side, which is the mechanism for the time. Now we are going to disassemble the mechanism for the calendar and the keyless work, which is activating or changing time or changing the date, the systems that allow you to do the changing. Okay, let's remove the screws on the calendar plate, which is on the top. I remove it gently, check the underneath because there is some parts underneath with the date jumper and the spring. I will disassemble that later and clean everything. And I remove the date disc, put it aside for now. This is a date mechanism with the date driving wheel. The dates that allow the date to change, at midnight every day. And now we are left with the keyless work. So the wheel on the top, Canon Pinion, which is a friction fit. So I use this version tool to remove the Canon Pinion, to pull it straight up to make sure it doesn't damage anything. So I remove, and you can see the center wheel that fall down on the other side because it's attached directly to the Canon Pinion. Just checking everything is okay, like on all the wheels, and put it aside. And now we can disassemble the keyless work. I remove the two screws as well, a bit tight. As I said, on some of the screws they were quite tight. There we go. Now I can grab them with a pair of tweezers to put them aside. These are small screws as well. And I don't know if you notice, but you will see when you are on my other camera, that's the big angle camera, I put all the parts in different families. So to make sure when I clean and when I reassemble them, I know where the screws and where the parts are going, not to mix everything up. So that's really important for me actually at the beginning, now that I'm getting used to some of the movement and everything, so I know where the parts are going. But you see, like for example, I will have a section for the keyless work where I put all the keyless work parts. I will have a section for the calendar work. I will have a section for the train of wheel, another one for the mainspring barrel assembly, and so on. So I keep everything together, and when I wash them, I will put them as well in some different areas to make sure they don't mix. And when I put them back together, when I put them in a box as well, they will be separated in this type of families, so I can remember where the parts are going and where all they go together. And especially for the screws, it makes it easier to know which screws go where. Yeah. Okay, so now we are moving along very nicely, like just the last couple of parts on the keyless work. Oh, you see the screw jump? It's okay, it did not go far, I'm lucky. It's a small one as well. Okay, so this is on top of the setting lever, keeping the setting lever in place. Remove the setting lever, and now the stem, I mean one part of the stem, because the other one is attached to the crown, because you saw it was a two-piece stem. And I remove the clutch and the winding pinions, which are the last two parts that I put all together. Here we go. Before putting everything for clean, just put back the balance assembly as always. It's a safe place for the balance assembly to be during washing, during cleaning, so to make sure nothing get damaged. Put it back, put the screw back, just first push it down in place, just checking, yeah, you see it's in place because it's, when I rotate the mechanism is rotating. Okay, so if you like this video, it's very important for me, just subscribe to the channel. It will help me to do new video and help to grow the channel, so I really appreciate your support. Yeah. Okay, so the balance now is assembled and we can move on to put all the parts in the cleaning baskets. Okay, now I'm going to disassemble the mainspring assembly because this need to be clean as well. So first I remove the barrel in the middle and I need to take out the spring. Use tweezers to remove the spring, and now I need to make it rotate to gently go out, and this you need to be really careful because everything can jump. It always happens to, like, especially if you are at the beginning when you don't know how to do it, it happens a couple of times where everything spring out and fly to the other side of the room, so you need to be really careful. There we go, so you see the spring is almost out, you already need to be careful. Yes, it looks like it's in good shape, so we will clean it, put it in a basket with the other parts and clean everything. So now I put everything in a cleaning machine, I start the machine. So this is the first solution is going to be cleaning solution. Put a bit of speed. So this is an old Elma machine that I bought on eBay, but working very good. So the cleaning is done. I do it generally like for 5 minutes. Now I remove the excess of cleaning by spinning the basket, and the next is like we have two cleaning solution. You go through 2 stages of cleaning solution, rinsing solution if you want. So the same cleaning, remove the excess, and the last bit is going to be the drying. So this is heated inside. Up, I stop the drying, and I get my basket with all the part inside, just make it spin a bit to remove the heat, and I take it out of the machine and put the parts nicely clean back in a box. That changed my life, to be fair, compared to ultrasonic cleaning machine. The cleaning is so much better with this machine. If you are serious in this hobby, you can find some couple of €100 on eBay or other website. It's very nice. So now I'm reassembling the mainspring barrel. So I put a bit of grease in a barrel, special grease for mainspring, and now I'm putting the barrel in the middle. Put a bit of 9104 on the top, same. I put a bit of grease on a barrel lid before I close it to make sure the spring inside stay lubricated and doesn't have too much friction against the barrel. And now I'm going to close it. So to close it, I use this small tool like you already saw. I really like this tool to close it. Just put it in. Just make sure it's right in the center. And just press, and you hear a nice click. And it means the top cover is in place, the lid is in place. So now we can start the assembly. So first, before putting the mainspring barrel assembly, I put a bit of 9104 at the bottom there. There we go. I put the mainspring in place, just make sure it rotates. Yeah, nicely in place. Put a 9104 on these big jewels in the middle, where you will have the center wheel coming in contact with the mainspring. So you see I keep all my parts, like I said, separated in function of the zone, if you want, like the different areas that I put in my head for the watch. Like for example, this part will be like in a mainspring barrel assembly side, and I keep them in this box when it's clean, just to make sure they don't get dirty again, so before put them back in a watch. So that's the two parts which are holded by this mainspring barrel bridge. Put it in place slowly, and it's holded with 3 screws. So now we're gonna put the 3 screws when everything is in place. I hope you like this setup with 2 cameras. I think it's an improvement from what I had before with only one camera. Okay, the last one is in place, and after we will carry on with the rest of the assembly. Just checking it's not too much play, it's in place. Same, put a bit of 9104 on the top to make sure it's nicely lubricated and the part don't wear too much, and the amplitude of the watch will be good as well because there will be not too much friction. Same in the center wheel, put a bit of 9104 there. So on this watch, sorry, I did not have too many issues with parts. The parts were looking good inside, the mechanism were looking good. I think it just needed a clean and a maintenance. I just had to find a new glass because I said the glass was broken on the edge. And this is a special glass for this watch with a ring, like a tension ring. This one has a silver tension ring because it's a silver color watch, metal watch. And the crystal has a special shape with an edge in the middle of the crystal to pop it open. So yeah, I managed to source a brand new crystal. Okay, if you like my video as well, follow me on my other social media, on Instagram, where I put some pictures and updates, and on Patreon as well, where I put my video earlier than in YouTube, and yeah, where I have as well other updates on Patreon. Yeah. Okay, so now the train of wheel, I put the remaining wheels. I just need to make sure they are sitting properly before I put the bridge. So they were looking good, and now I put slowly the bridge back in place, and I try to align it as much as possible with the wheels, because each wheel need to sit properly in their top and bottom jewels. Yeah. Okay. So I will just use my plastic stick to make sure I hold the... Don't need to put too much pressure because you don't want to bend the pivot. And you see, now it's sitting down. And when you sit down, everything, you see, you turn one wheel and everything is turning together. So the power is going from the mainspring to the escape wheel. Okay, I hold it in place to make sure it doesn't move, and I quickly put one screw to make sure everything stays in place. Just check. Yeah, you can see everything is moving. The escape at the bottom is moving, so that's good. The last screw. Just to make sure everything is tight, and check again. You're never sure enough. There we go, you see, yeah, it's turning properly. It's not lubricated yet, so for sure it doesn't run as good when it's not lubricated. After, with lubrication, it will run even smoother, and better. So yeah, we'll see that later. I did not film the lubrication, I think, because I always do it under the microscope for the watch, because it's quite precise. Okay, I put the click spring, a bit of 9104 on a post where the click spring is gonna come to make sure it's nicely lubricated as well. Now just grab the click spring, and I will put it back in place. Bit of 9104 as well on the top, on the shoulder where the screw is coming, to make sure there is no friction there with the screw. Normally the screw is a bit higher, the head is always a bit higher. Or else when you tie the screw, the click spring will not be able to move. Yeah. This screw is just need to make sure that the click spring stay in place and doesn't come off, but it doesn't hold it in place. There is no friction between the screw head and the click spring, or else the click spring could not do this work. It means rock left and right and make this click sound when you wind the watch. Okay, so now we can move to the ratchet wheel with the square hole in the middle that I need to align with the top bit of the barrel from the mainspring barrel. Again, I use my tweezer to make sure it's aligned, and you need to sit down flat. And when it's done, I put the screw in the middle, which is generally the biggest, or one of the biggest screws that you will find on a watch. Okay, so that's done for the ratchet. Now we are going to do the crown wheel. First we put the ring. Remember that I removed with the Rodico. Here I'm going to put some grease, some 9501, because it's an area metal to metal. I see a bit of friction, so put a bit of grease. And I'm going to put now the rest of the crown wheel, which was a two-piece. So first I put a crown. You see it has the shape of a crown actually. And after I'm going to put the centerpiece, which is holding this crown in place here. Just need to make sure, same as the ratchet wheel, you need to lay down flat and the teeth need to engage between each other. Here I'm going to put some 9104 in a groove where the part that keep it in place is gonna sit. Sorry. Here we go. Now it's in place. So yeah, there will be many more watches to come from the 70s as well, from Omega and other brands. Like I said, I really like these designs and the movements from this era. The dynamics, the Omega dynamics, there is a lot of different variation with date function, with date, automatic, non-automatic, gold, steel, different color dial. That was a very funky collection, I guess, in 60s, 70s. But there will be other to come from Omega and other brands. I particularly really like the blue, the second hand, the blue second hand. I found them very nice looking from Omega, and there is other watch as well from Omega with this blue hand that will come later to the channel. A chronograph model, which is a very nice model. I was really looking forward to get this one. So if you want to see the watch, it's probably gonna come in 2 to 3 weeks. So subscribe and you will be sure to get notification when you will see this new watch, which is one big watch from Omega, and probably the most difficult watch that I restored, and I'm quite happy that I restored this watch. Yeah. Okay, so now we move to the other side. So we are going to assemble the keyless work. First, we are going to put some 9501 on the winding pinion, on the part that come in contact with the clutch wheel. I lubricate the shoulder a tiny bit as well, because this winding pinion come in contact with the shoulder. Okay, so now put it in place. It's always a bit of gymnastic to put this Canon pinion in place, because I don't want to put the tweezers on the side where I put the grease. And the clutch wheel, need to put it on the right way, because the teeth on one side and on the other side are not the same. So we need to be sure it's in the right direction. And now I can put the first part of the stem. First, I need to grease it properly. So same, I put a bit of 9501, sorry, on a stem. And I will introduce it in the middle of the crown, the winding pinion, sorry, and the clutch. Just to make sure it goes all the way, because it has a square shape to drive the clutch and the Canon pinion. I mean more the clutch. And you need to go up. There we go. Now it went fully in. Perfect. So we can carry on with the rest of the assembly. The rest of the keyless work. First, I'm gonna grease the hole where I put the setting lever. That's a setting lever spring that come on the top to make sure the setting lever stay in place. There we go, it's in place, and now I can put this little plate on the top that keep it pressed down to make sure it stay in place. And this is as well this system. When you want to remove the stem, you need to push on a little hole on the other side of the watch, and this acts as a spring basically. So you push, you pull the stem, and when you release the pressure, it come back in it go back into place. So the setting lever go back into this original place. I like this kind of design. I much prefer than the one that you need to screw and unscrew to remove the stem. Okay, so now I'm lubricating all the posts where this is where the yoke and the different wheel will come. So I lubricate everything in one go. This is where you will have the minute wheel. I lubricate where you will have, that's the Canon pinion. Okay, that's oiling done on this part, and now I can carry on with the rest of the assembly. So first, I'm going to put the yoke, but before putting the yoke, I just need to make sure, I don't know if I've already done it or no, need to make sure the clutch, no, looks like it's not done. The clutch need to be greased as well in the middle where it's going to come in contact with the yoke, so that's what I'm doing now. Put a bit of 9501, same, again, in the middle of the clutch. In this groove, that's where the yoke is gonna sit. Here we go, now everything is oiled and greased properly, we put the yoke in place. There we go, now it sits nicely, flat in a groove. And I can put a spring. This is a strong spring, so you need to be really careful. See, I use plastic stick to hold it in place, and my tweezer to push it behind. Bit of greasing on a post where that's the post where you will have the system for the quick set date. There you go, that's the quick set date mechanism. I mean, that would drive the quick set date mechanism when you pull on a crown. and I carry on with the rest of the wheels. The Canon Pinion, that's friction mounted, so need to press it, tack, it click in place. Now I put a minute wheel. Yeah, I forgot to, that's why I remove the date jumping mechanism. I need to put some grease as well on the parts that come in contact. So here is an important bit at the end of the yoke. Oh, you see it jumped out of place. You need to be really careful there because you don't want to. So I'm going to put it in place because it has spring and a tension. Yeah, you see I put it back in a groove. That's a tricky operation because you don't want anything to jump. So now I can put back everything in place as it was before. Okay, and now we can put the last parts from the keyless work. So just need to make sure it's located properly. It's located on 2 pins, and after it's holded by 2 screws, 2 little screws. So I put a screw now, and after we'll be able to put it in place fully. And you will see it will keep an attention the setting lever, and that will make the different position where you have waiting position, time setting position, and quick save date position. Okay, so now it's in place. Put a bit of grease as well in these parts because it's going to be a part with a lot of tension. So put a 9501 grease for contact metal to metal. And now I set it in place. There we go. Click, it comes nicely in place. Just clean with a bit of vertical the excess grease. Make sure everything is clean. I put back the crown with the other part of the stem. Come and connect and click in place. There we go. And now I can check everything is working properly. So you see, first position, the date mechanism is maybe not in the right place there. Normally it's more straight, but yeah, you see, doesn't want to go to the last position, which is when you change the date, the quick save date. Yeah, here we go. That's a much better position. There you go. You see, he went to the last position, and now he's moving up and down in all 3 positions. So the keyless work is in place. It's working good. It's oil and grease properly. And now we can move back to the other side to assemble the part that we reveal if the watch is working or not. So first we need to put the pallet fork. Good, you need to make sure, same as always, like the train of wheel is sitting nicely in a pivot. I mean the pivot is sitting nicely in a jewel, sorry. So I use my tweezer to gently push it, and you see, up, it went down. So, and it's working left, right. So looks like it's a good position. So I can put the screws. It's all in place by two screws, so just need to make sure, yeah, just checking if it's, after putting 1 screw, if it's still moving. And now I put the second one. This is always tricky because they are very close to the wheel, so don't want to damage anything. Putting a full wind on a watch, and the first check just to make sure, yeah, you see it's working left and right. When I put a tiny bit of pressure, it's moving by itself after. So it means the power is coming nicely to the fork. And now the moment of truth, we need to put the balance assembly and see if the watch wants to start. Okay, gently turn it. Just put it in place. Same again. You need to make sure it sits in top and on top and bottom holes. And here we go. Nice, very nice. It looks like it's beating quite good. Put a screw to hold it in place. I already oiled like the jewels. After that, generally I clean and oil the Inca block, and I leave the movement set down for like 24 hours to make sure everything is working, and it is keeping a good time after 24 hours, that the oil and grease go in the right places, and yeah, everything is good. So now now I'm going to put the second pinion. So first I put this spring, friction spring, in place. Okay, I put the Canon pinion. It's a long part, very thin part, very delicate part. Just push it down to make sure it comes in contact, you see, on top of the spring. The spring will keep it under tension. And now I will put this small bridge on the top with 1 joule. That's keep in place this second pinion. Second pinion come in contact directly with the third wheel. Okay, it's in place. I hold it. And I tie everything down. Same again on these jewels, like on top jewel, we'll have to oil it as I do with the other jewels. Okay, so now it's done. We move to the other side with the last bit of the assembly, which is calendar work, the calendar mechanism, sorry. So I oil everything with some 9104, and I put the driving mechanism for the calendar. So that's the 2 wheels, and now I put on top the hour wheel, so we make the link between the time and the calendar mechanism. Okay, so now I can put the calendar ring in place. I reassemble the date jumper underneath with the spring, and I can put the plate. So this is, you need to make sure everything is located properly. You need to locate the date jumper for and the quick say date mechanism. And you can see the date jumper at the bottom. Yeah, up. I need to activate it to make sure it falls in between the teeth. And when it's in place, I hold it with one hand, grab a screw with the other one, put it in place, and tie the screw to make sure everything stays in place. There we go, the first one done, so that's normally secured. I put the second one, and the date mechanism is will be done. Okay, so now we can check if everything is working. So now I'm changing the time to see if at midnight it will change. You see, up, it's driving, it changed perfectly. So everything looks good. The quick say date is working. Now I'm greasing the date jumper. And now I can carry on with the rest. So I put the mechanism on a cushion. Just drop down the dial, put back the dial in place, So unscrew the dial fit, put it back in place, screw the dial fit again. And when it's in, next step, we set up the watch to put a hand. So I just set the watch just after midnight, or at midnight, when the date change. First, put the hour hand. So I have this new tool from Orotech as well to set a hand. Is before I had like tools so doing by hand, pushing by hand. This tool is much better, it's much precise. The hand are sitting flat, and you can choose the amount of pressure. You can watch when you do it at the same time. It's very nice. So now I put a minute hand. And the last one, my favorite hand on this watch with this nice blue hand, is a second hand. So you can put random places. There we go. And I do everything with my carbon tweezer tips to make sure I don't scratch or don't damage the hand. And there we go. Now I just put a light push on the hand to make sure it stays in place. Okay, last bit of cleaning before putting back into the case, a bit blowing, remove a bit of dust or any particle with a bit of Rodico. Really nice dial. Okay, so just put it back in the case from the front. Bit of Rodico again to remove some marks. Just make it rotate gently to align it at 3 o'clock with the hole for the crown. Yeah, there we go. Again, last clean with my tools, like to gently brush the dial. Just checking it's setting correctly. It looks good. Now I can put the crown. So yeah, just need to make sure it click in place. Voila, now it's in place. And I can check if everything is working. Time is moving, quick set date, jumping, perfect, winding, good. Last bit of a clean. And now it should be ready. I put the new crystal in place on my press. So it's all good. New crystal. Clean crystal, perfect, no scratches, and now I assemble the original bracelet back on it. So you saw like the screw down bracelet with a quick change function if you want on a bracelet, if you want to switch from one to other. So here we go, screw it in place. Yeah, and I like this one because I wanted the original steel bracelet, which is looking good. And here is a finished watch. So last check, time moving. Okay, let's see if the date is moving. Yeah, quick say date, good again. And let's check the change at midnight. Okay, need to do one full turn. Oh, it's coming. Oh, perfect. It's just changing like 1 or 2 minutes before midnight. The setup is perfect. Okay, so now that the watch is finished, let's put it on a time grapher. As you can see, the result is quite good, yeah. The gaining 9 seconds per day, and the amplitude is high, the bit is at 0, so it's quite good, yeah. Now that's the finished product. Let's put some video of the finished watch, and I see you next time for my next video. Bye!